Hi, this is Miss Litton, and this is my honors bio student, 7th period. Say hi.
Hi.
We don't know where you are. We were just requesting you. So anyway, on the immune system, big ticket items on your immune system. We talked about that it's very extensive, right? We talked about, like, you don't want this, you don't want edema, you don't want edema. This is when things are not working out, that somehow the lymphatic vessels are blocked. Normally, you have this nice close association with the circulatory system and your lymphatic system and lymphatic vessels. And you have lymph capillaries and you have blood capillaries, right? And we know at the arterial end of your capillaries, what pressure wins out? Hydrostatic, and it forces fluids out. But the hydrostatic pressure, the farther you get away from the heart, the hydrostatic pressure drops, and the greater pressure is the osmotic. And that recovers fluids, right? But do you recover as much as you push out at the arterial end? No. So who's going to scoop that up? The lymphatic system. And it's going to be called lymph now. Now, technically it was like plasma when it was in the blood. Then when it was out in your tissues, it's tissue fluid. And now that it's inside your lymphatic system, it's called lymph. Okay? How do you get fluid to move? Because remember, your lymphatic vessels, what one are they most like of your circulatory system? Veins. They're most like veins. And so what keeps the fluid moving in one direction? Valves, and also muscles pushing on and kind of smishing it, compressing it, and it keeps that fluid moving. All right. So we talked about remembering all the functions of your lymphatic system. So one of the functions is to absorb that excess tissue fluid that we just mentioned. Okay. Another one is to produce lymphocytes, but the one people always forget, okay, is absorbing fats at the intestines. Now, when I say it produces lymphocytes, what are the two lymphocytes that we are talking about? T and B. Remember that? Uh-oh.
Oh, the specialized. No.
Wait, did I stop recording? It's still going. Are you still going? You're still going. Hey. All right. So the lymphocytes, remember, you have your white blood cells fight and defend, right? It's the police force and then special forces. Special forces are your lymphocytes, and you have your B lymphocytes and your T. And technically, you have your natural killer cells, because those were supposed to be cytotoxic T cells, but they dropped out of the school of thymus. They dropped out of the school of thymus. Okay, very good. Now, let's go on and talk about what are the main organs that we want to make sure we know. So your bone marrow produces what? All the blood cells, okay? Including your lymphocytes. Both the B and T lymphocytes, all the white blood cells, but also all the red blood cells, all your blood cells are produced there. But your B lymphocytes mature in your bone marrow, hence the name, they are called B. And let's just foreshadow, we're not there yet, but what are the B lymphocytes all about? What will they eventually generate for us if stimulated? Antibodies, good. Okay? T lymphocytes are born in the bone marrow, but they mature in your thymus gland. Where does your thymus gland sit? On top of your heart. Whose thymus gland is bigger right now? Yours or mine? Yours. Yeah, yours is bigger because you are younger. Good. Okay, and your T cells mature there. And when I think about T cells, I think about what? Yeah, they've got blood on their hands. They do cell-to-cell combat. They're actually wiping out your own body cells that are harboring a pathogen, or if you have cancerous cells, they're going to be wiping those out as well. Okay, now, we have things that filter the fluids that we have in our body. Where does our blood get filtered?
Spleen.
In the spleen. And where does our tissue fluid or lymph get filtered? In the lymph node. Okay, that's where they get filtered. Now we looked at the spleen, we have tonsils, we have other organs in the back of your throat as well, but we're not focusing, those are secondary ones, still important though. Okay, now, how do we defend ourselves? What is the process of defense? So the first thing we want to do is just focus on the non-specific defenses. This is what would be called the innate immune response, meaning you are born with it, right? You are born with it. And you're trying to keep things out of your body. The first thing you have to have is use your skin. Yeah. That's why you don't want cracks or holes in your skin, because then that could make you prone to an infection. So skin is your number one barrier. Those places where we don't have skin, like in our mouth, we have antimicrobial agents that could protect us. We have the low pH of our stomach. We have hairs. We have glands that secrete oils that could protect us, or wax. And we want to keep things out. Now, if something gets across that and it's actually inside of our body, in our body, how do we know that it's not us? And the reason why we know it's not us is because on their surface they have what? Antigens. And those antigens don't match our antigens. Okay? And that's how you know stranger danger. Your antigens are unique to you, and if there's anything in your body that doesn't have your antigens all over it, then your body is going to work hard to kill it and destroy it. All right? So who do you call in? You call in. The innate immune response is always there, always ready. You have white blood cells. What is the most numerous of all the white blood cells? Neutrophils are the most numerous, and it's about 70% of your white blood cells. And then we see right here dendritic cells and macrophages. Both of these also eat. But what we learned later when we talked about the specific or adapted immune response, dendritic cells and macrophages, they'll eat something, destroy it, and then what? Display it. And when they present, they always present on MHC2, I will help you. They're not presenting and saying, I know, kill me, I'm infected. They're presenting as a victor. Okay, they have won the battle, and they have ripped them apart, and they are displaying its head out, and they are looking for either the virgin cells, or if you've experienced it before, they might be looking for the memory cells, so you can trigger your specific immune response. So the innate immune response plays a very valuable role in triggering your special forces. Okay, we have natural killer cells. Remember, those are those ones, they just like kill everything, right, as best they can. Okay, we talk about complement proteins. Do you remember what they do? They drill holes. And complement proteins, besides drilling holes, we have other proteins like cytokines. Remember we talked about Red Bull and crack? Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. We talked about, like, you know, it amps them up. And there were two categories of them. We talked about it at the end. We talked about interleukins and interferons. So interleukins are your own immune system cells releasing a chemical to get them all jacked up, like Red Bull, and be like, yeah, let's fight. Interferons, the way you're going to remember that, a cell that is infected by a virus is saying, hey, save yourselves. I know I'm going to be dead, but save yourselves. And it encourages the other cells to mind their windows and doors and access, because a virus is out there. And the way I remember that is it interferes with the viral life cycle. Interferon interferes. Interleukin, it amps them up. Luke, I am your father. I want to fight you. I don't know. You have to come up with your own thing. Okay? But those are all chemical signals, which we also categorize as cytokines, that how one immune system cell can talk to another. Mast cells. Mast cells are unique. They're part of your general police force, and mast cells release what? Yeah, they release histamine, and if you recall, histamine is what makes your blood vessels leaky, okay? And the advantage of leaky blood vessels when you have a little space between your endothelium is that those other fighters can get out, right? They can fight and they can get out, and it makes it easier for them to access wherever the infection is taking place. But also when you have those spaces like that, and not only do the cells get out, but more of the fluid gets out. And that can cause that area to what? Swell. And that swelling can push on nerve endings, and that can cause what? Pain. Exactly. Okay? So if you see, here, Okay? Do you see this basophil right here? It does the same thing as mast cells do, but it's in the blood. Just like the spleen does the same thing that lymph nodes do. Yes?
Do you want us to know all the individual functions of those different police forces?
I would expect you, let's identify, that's a good question. Definitely mast cells because it release histamine. Dendritic cells, what do? Eat and they display. And they're kind of like the garbage men. What do macrophages do?
They're
Also, yeah, big eaters. They start off as monocytes and then they get bigger, and they're also presentation cells. So these are APCs. This is an APC, big time. Okay? Natural killer cells, I would expect you to know that they kill. Complement, let's do holes. Okay? I would want you to know that the neutrophils are most numerous of all the white blood cells, right? And they neutralize that. I would say those are the key ones to know of the general. I think you would know those. We've gone over those. Yes?
What do you mean by holes for the complement?
Oh, I'll show you that picture. Let me show you. Let me show you. Remember this?
Oh, yeah.
I called them little ninjas, and they would run up and drill little holes in you, right? Because water must flow. And so now you've broken the barrier, and so they all get in, and then it explodes. Okay, those are complement proteins. It's a series. It's really, I would show you this video I did in class. I make AP watch it. It's like 5 minutes long. It's like this triggers this, triggers this, triggers this, triggers this, triggers this, triggers this. I mean, it is literally so many different series of triggering events until you eventually drill a hole. Because you don't want to just have random hole drilling take place, because that would be really bad, right? Just like you don't want random blood clotting taking place, because that would be really bad. All right, so that is your innate immune response. We talked about granulocytes and neutrophils. We talked about macrophages, who start off as monocytes, and we talked about eaters, right? And then the one that's not on there is like mast cells and the inflammatory response that you have when you have an infection. Everybody's born with that. We are all the same with that, okay? The part that gets different is when you start enlisting special forces, okay? Special forces gets a little bit different, okay? And what happens with your special forces is you have antigens that will trigger an immune response. Okay, and then...
Okay. 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, so if you need a little help with the immune system, I would encourage you to go to my YouTube page, because we recorded a video today for honors biology about the immune system. Things like understanding what an antigen is, or in this case, in our specific immune response, we have our antibody mediated versus our cell mediated. What cells for our antibody mediated? Do you remember?
B cells.
B cells. And how about for your cell mediated?
T cells.
T cells. What is the target for antibody mediated, or the actual viruses and the bacteria, whereas in cell mediated it is our own body cells. And then the process for antibody mediated is making antibodies, marking them for destruction, and cell mediated is cell to cell combat. If you want more, check my YouTube channel.
Oh, perfect. Cute.
Okay.
Cute.
Yeah, is that cat?
I don't know if you can say that anymore, but when I was like 7, that was like a thing. So. 7, that was a thing.
Well, you know what? Hey, that was for you, TikTokers. But I'm getting several requests. There's a lot of kids' schools who are what? Closing, and they don't, have access to good information. Okay, you're good with that? All what we just did, what we TikToked? You good? All right. Now, I want to walk you through with that inappropriate cartoon to review antibody mediated. Okay. So first of all, you have your macrophages that are doing what? Eating, destroying whatever. They're overcoming it. They're taking care of it. And then they're displaying it. Now you know so much more. This macrophage is displaying on an MHC2. And here is a virgin helper T cell. So he could have been in your body for 16 years and never used. And this antigen presenting cell could be displaying at just so many different T cells. So many, and finally he finds the one that says, I recognize that antigen because it has a what for it?
Receptor.
It has a receptor for it. So now he is activated. It's good to go. But we're not ready to start our specific immune response yet, because what else do we have to activate? The B cells. Good. That was a T cell. Now the B cell. So here is a virgin B cell, never been activated. He's also 16 years old, and he has been having his receptors. He has tried so many things, but finally, here's an antigen that fits. Okay? But that B cell, who has the direct contact of the antigen, needs to hook up with the T cell who got it presented to him, because remember, the only way you can talk to a T cell is if it's presented on an MHC2 or an MHC1. Okay? So these two get together and they agree, yes, we have a problem. And then they're both going to go in and do their business. Now, I want to talk to you, because this cartoon doesn't have it, it's later. This T cell, what are the 3 types of cells this T cell will generate? Turn to your bio buddy that you're sitting with right now and tell them, what are those 3 types, and then I'll check you.
The helper cell and the cytotoxin that kills.
One of them starts with a T, or with a C.
Okay? Come back to me. Tell me, what are the 3 types of T cells that you will get? No. T cells. Cytotoxic. What does the cytotoxic T cell do? He kills. Who else? What's another kind of T cell you get? Helper T cell. What does the helper T cell do? He helps. He's like the army general, right? The wedding coordinator. He's organizing the entire specific immune response. And then what's the third kind of cell? Memory cell. And the memory cell is for next time. Remember, the memory cells are not virgins. They're experienced. They don't need to hook up with another virgin B cell before they start doing their business. They are good to go as soon as they come in contact with that antigen. Okay? Now, let's talk about the B cell. Okay? That B cell, once it gets activated, the T cell divided into 3. The B cell only divides into what? 2. The memory cell is still for next time, same as the T cells, but the plasma cell is the type of B cell that actually releases the antibodies, right? And the way you can remember it is the antibodies are released like into the plasma. I mean, they're in the tissue fluid, they're everywhere, but if that helps you, okay? So the plasma cell is a type of B cell that is releasing those antibodies. Now, are the antibodies going to kill the pathogens they land on?
No.
No, they're marking them for killing. So nobody has to take the time to go to each one and go, are you good or bad? Are you good or bad? Are you good or bad? Or good or bad? You have a big sign. It's like a hat each of you is wearing that says, kill, don't kill, 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 don't kill. So you can respond quickly when they have those antibodies attached to them. Okay? And so here you can see now this macrophage. He doesn't have to take the time to figure out if it's a good, bad, it's got antibodies on it, it's bad, I'm going to eat it. If you remember, the antibodies are what shape? Y. And the base of the Y determines what's going to happen. If the base of that Y can trigger a macrophage to eat. Or that base of the Y can be buried into a mast cell. And what will that mast cell start secreting? Histamine. Okay? To help coordinate, right? All right, so that's how the specific immune response can provide feedback to your innate immune response to get it to do whatever you want it to do, right? They coordinate between each other. All right, and then again, the memory cell is for some future response. So here we can see a macrophage eating. It could trigger the complement proteins. That's part of your innate immune response to start drilling in there. It can get a mast cell to secrete histamine. Now, your T lymphocytes. We talked about this. The only way to talk to a T cell is either present to that T cell with an MHC1 or an MHC2. So one cell has to talk to another cell. That's the only way. Remember, T cells could have a virus or bacterium crawling all over it. That will not stimulate it to fight that virus or bacterium. It needs a part of that virus to be shown to it by either an MHC2 or an MHC1. Now, what's going to happen? Well, that determines. If it's presented to it on an MHC1, that's almost all the cells in your body have MHC1s. Almost every cell in your body has MHC1. So if you present on that, that means you're infected. And if it's on an MHC1, you are done. Yeah, you're dead. He's killing you. A cytotoxic T cell is killing you because you're infected. And this is time for tough love, because if we leave you around, viruses might spill out of you and then kill the rest of us, right? So that's why you're doing that. If it's presented on an MHC2, I will help you. Oh, this is who you're fighting? I am in. I'm the virgin that recognizes it, or I'm the memory cell that recognizes it, and I am good to go. I'm going to start making some cytotoxic T cells. I'm going to make some more memory cells. I'm going to make some helper cells, and we're going to control this entire battle that we're doing. Okay, so a little reminder here on T cells. So here's the bone marrow, because every T cell is born in the bone marrow. Okay, and then it goes to the thymus. And when it goes to the thymus gland, it could become a cytotoxic T cell. It could be a helper T cell. It could be a memory cell. Okay, but if it drops out of the school of thymus, then it's going to be a what? Natural killer cell, right? And it's going to kill. It's going to kill as a result of that. Okay. Now, remember I had those cartoons in the presentation. You could go back and look in the presentation, but here was that Venn diagram that I did, right? And so that Venn diagram shows you B cells are all about virus, bacteria, and toxin. T cells are gonna, they're not this is the thing that's making you sick, but if that thing that's making you sick gets into your own body cells, that's what the T cells target is gonna be. That's who they're gonna go after. How do the B cells work? Because they make plasma cells and memory cells. Memory cells for the future. And they are B memory cells. These are two different kind of memory cells. There's B memory cells and T memory cells. These are two different types of memory cells, right? But plasma cells are going to make and secrete those antibodies, marking that pathogen for destruction. T cells make three. The virgin T cell will make memory cells for the future, helper T cells to regulate and coordinate the response, and then cytotoxic T cells for killing. Now, obviously, if you get a little peanut butter in yourself and you're allergic to it and you go into what? Anaphylactic shock. Your helper T cells are not doing their job because they are not regulating your immune response. You are overreacting to peanut butter, right? And you can't help it. Your immune system is overreacting to that peanut butter, and it's responding, okay? There are also pictures in your book, showing everything of, little summary diagrams, so you might want to look at that. This is a great chart because I expect you to be able to differentiate between active and passive immunity, and that's mostly what it is about, is active and passive. But I wanted to start right at the top. On immunity, remember, these are all the police force, born with it, mast cells, dendritic cells, all of that, right? Your acquired immunity, it's either this right here. If it's active, it's for life. If it's passive, it's for now, okay? Active is for life, and passive is for just right now. Active immunity, you either got it the easy way or the hard way. What is the easy way to acquire active immunity? Vaccine. You get a weakened version of polio. You go through the whole 10 days of recognizing, building your armies. Oh, also, what are your armies going to do when they're done? They're going to commit what? Apoptosis. They're going to commit apoptosis. So you only leave the memory cells behind. Because we can't keep all of them, right? We can't support all those soldiers. They just have to commit, okay? Now, the hard way to get that is if you are actually exposed to it, right? That's why we want a vaccine for the coronavirus, right? Chances are the coronavirus, though, is going to what? Mutate into some other one. We're all going to eventually get it. We just don't want to all get it at the same time, okay? Now, the for now, okay? This is like a baby borrowing antibodies from their mother. The antibodies are covering it for now, but it doesn't actually own any immunity. It's just borrowing it. However, it could buy that baby time to develop this type of immunity, right? It borrows antibodies until it can make its own. So when you talk about antibodies from a mother, that is passive immunity. It is for now. Same thing here, okay? If you get bit by a snake, You don't have time to develop a response to that, so you just need antibodies now. Flood your body with antibodies to mark those, the venom, to tag the venom so that it doesn't hurt you. Okay, that's only for now. All right, and then, are we good? Okay, and then the other thing we talked about is the complement system. These are things that could amplify, these are chemicals that could amplify your immune response. We talked about drilling holes with the complement system, and we talked about interferon. Interferon is, I'm trying to interfere with a virus doing its business in my body, right? So a viral infected cell will release interferon trying to get in the way of that virus. You could have, like if you were exposed to a virus, that would be great to get an interferon shot of some sort, right? Because then that would defend you against that virus a little bit, warn your body of it, okay? And there is research done into that. Yes?
Are interferon shots specific or one size?
I don't know where they are with interferon shots. I think sometimes they do use interferon. I'm not an expert on that, so I wouldn't even, I don't know. I don't know if you could just take interferon and it just protects you a little bit from viruses. I don't know. You know, if it's just temporarily, yeah. And then interleukins are that pump me up, the Red Bull, and everybody's jacked to do some killing, right? So that's your own immune system cells trying to pump you up. So what happens when our immune system rebels on us? You know, they're traitors to our body. Yeah, autoimmune diseases. One of these is allergies, where you respond. You know, you get a runny nose and your immune system is going because you were exposed to something like plant sperm. Plant sperm can't hurt you, but for some of you, plant sperm really does hurt you because not of the plant sperm itself, but because of your body's reaction to the plant sperm, right? It's the reaction to it that causes the problem. And really severe allergies can lead to anaphylactic shock due to a severe drop in your blood pressure. And that's when you need an EpiPen. Sometimes the response doesn't happen right away. It could be like a rash from poison ivy or poison oak. Some of you could be out and get exposed to poison oak and you don't actually get a rash from it till multiple hours later or 24 hours later. So it could be a delayed response. But keep in mind, things like allergies, because if you've experienced it before, you have what? Memory cells, so you're going to react even stronger every single time that you are exposed to it. Okay, we talked about red blood cells, right? You will attack any antigen that you don't have. So if I have type A blood, okay, if my blood type is type A, then I have A antigens on my red blood cells, and the kind of antibodies I will develop are anti-B, because I have type A, okay? If I have type B blood, I'm going to develop anti-A. Yes. If I have AB blood,
Doesn't matter.
I'm not going to make either one of them, because I'd either be attacking the A part of my blood or my B part. That's why AB blood people can receive any kind of blood, because they will not make antibodies against it. If I have type O blood, I'm going to make anti-A blood and anti-B blood, and as a result of that, then what?
You can give to anyone, but you can get.
Yeah, you can give to anyone. And I had somebody else ask for a TikTok just about that. Can we do it really quick? Okay. I don't know where my phone is. They said, please will you do it on blood?
It's gonna become paper thin, and one day your phone's just gonna fly away.
I can't see. Is this right? Okay. So good. You can help them understand that, right? When I talk about that. Okay. See if I can do it in one take, as usual. Fast as we can.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I had a request for blood and what blood you can accept or not accept. And we need to remember that blood has antigens on it. If you're type A, you have type A antigens. If you're type B, you have type B. If you're AB. Okay, so maybe you got a double dose on there, but I had a request for blood type, so sorry that happened. But thank you for your patience. Now you really understand it. All right, then we talked about things like rejection of organs, because if you might really need a kidney and that's the best thing for you, but it's going to have somebody else's antigens on it, right? And so you will tend to attack it. So you have to take immunosuppressant drugs so you can keep that kidney. Other autoimmune disease are things like lupus and multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis. And this is when your own body is forgetting that it belongs to you. So you start attacking your own tissues. The only thing you can do for autoimmune disease is try to not create an environment where you might be led to have that autoimmune disease. Sometimes stress can induce that. And then the other thing is you can treat the symptoms. That's about it for autoimmune diseases. And I think that is the end. But I have some questions that I didn't do in class. So want to do those now?
Yes.
Okay, and I don't remember where I stopped doing them. Do you? I think we did that. We did that. So let's do this. Let's log in today as our favorite popsicle. Our ice cream.
What is that?
It's always a competition. Did anybody understand what Miss Stutz wanted?
She said she'll come talk to you later.
Okay. I couldn't, like, we were in the middle of our jam. I couldn't stop. Chocolate or Otter Pops?
Do you have like a sign that says, "Do not disturb TikToks being made"?
No, because I just try to do them like boom and get them done. Go on, get on your phone, join. Hop on. You've learned this. Okay, is everybody in? All right, here you go. I'm going to show you the 4 questions, but listen to me out there. I want you to pause after every question and try to answer it, okay? Because that's when we really check for understanding. If you just watch other children answer it, then we don't know if you know it, okay? That's what's best for you. So here is the first question. So now pause it and try and answer that question. And I will show you the answers in just a minute. Okay, and here's question 2. Time to pause again. Answer that question. And here is question 3. Again, pause it. Pause it. Hit the pause button. Do it. And here is question 4. Okay, we're getting ready to go over the answers. So if you need a little more time, pause it and go back through and make your commitments. Cookies and cream, are you coming along here? Because he only answered 1 question. Mint chocolate chip, that also sounds delicious. Double chocolate ice cream. Gold medal ribbon, yes. Where's my gold medal ribbon? Yes, I love gold medal ribbon. Okay, here we go. End. Which applies to T cells. They mature in the thymus. Let's figure out where people are screwing up because we want to make sure we understand. Can you mature in the bone marrow and the thymus?
No.
Guys, I need your attention here. You cannot mature in 2 different places, okay? They're born in the bone marrow, they mature in thymus, so you would not pick C. Both A and B are correct. They are mutually exclusive. You're either one or the other. Okay, question number 2. Antibody-mediated immunity is most directly associated with the B cells. Because remember, when the B cells are triggered, what 2 cells will they make? Memory cells and plasma cells. And it's the plasma cells that secrete the antibodies. It is not associated with T cells. T cells are cell-to-cell combat, right? They are not about the antibodies. Okay, that's the cell-mediated immune response. Monocytes. Okay, monocytes are part of your innate immune system. Monocytes are the small things that get out of your capillaries and then become great big what? Macrophages. Okay? Okay, so no. Number 3, plasma cells are B cells that actively secrete antibodies. Yes, they are not formed in the blood plasma. Are any things formed in the blood plasma? No. Where are things formed?
Bone marrow.
Bone marrow. Somebody said inactive T cells carry. No, those are called virgin T cells, or I don't know what. That's not good. I have some more questions if you want it. And then number 4, a cytotoxic T cell is destroying the target cell. The MHC marker must be an MHC1 because you are done. If it was an MHC2, I would help you.
Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, help.
Help you too.
Okay, and here. Okay, here you go.
Oh, we're doing another one?
I have 3 questions, yes. Okay, and I'm going to show the questions, pause them in between. Okay, pause it and commit to your response. And that goes up on the shelf to the left. You're welcome. Okay, and question number 3. I have another one down here too. I don't know what's on that one, but I'm happy to do that one with you too. These are good. I know because I wrote the quiz.
That would be very
Always universal.
If you've done it once, then you know it. Wait, I'm not done yet. I can't remember when.
Okay, you ready? Yes. I can't hear. Shh, go.
Is that the T cell helping it repair instead of killing the whole thing?
If you present on an MHC2, that's a presentation cell, and present on an MHC2, then that T cell is going to help him, and let's fight the battle.
Okay, so they're still like.
We're team win. We're gonna, yeah. You're not gonna kill somebody. You're not gonna kill a presentation cell. That's like shooting the messenger. He's just letting you know, hey, this is out here. Maybe you want to kill it. Okay. So yeah, I'll help you kill it. But if you present on an MHC1, you're infected. You are done. Okay. All right. Let's check our answers on this. A person with AB type blood could receive which of the following? All of them. They're not going to attack AB because they're AB. They're not going to attack A because they do have an A. They're not going to attack B because they do have a B. They're not going to attack O because there ain't nothing to attack. They don't have any antigens. Okay? All right, number 2. Mast cell secretion occurs after an allergen combines with IgE. Remember E2 when I taught it to you? But that's also an additional objective. Yeah? Not IgG. IgG is the general antibody. And not, what did you say, D? IgA is the type of antibodies that are located in your throat.
Do we need to know all of them?
No, I just do. So I just told you what they are and told you why you're wrong. IgE2. Okay, number 3, vaccines are associated with active immunity and it's long lasting. It's forever, right? Because you have that active immunity. You've been exposed to that weakened version and you've developed your immune response against it. Okay, I have one more. Do you want it? I don't know what's on it. I haven't looked. Okay.
Remember back in the day we did cookers?
Oh, no, this was just getting ready for a test. It was just a fun thing. Okay, that's it. All done. I love you. Make good choices. Study, study, study. Study with a buddy.
And do your English.
And I love you. And do your English homework.
So I did get asked 2 questions.
Yes.
For the dendritic cells.
Dendritic cells.
Like, what are